I'm Ksenia and welcome to another astrology question. I'm so grateful to all the people who sent in messages with their astrology questions, and to the people who are leaving notes on or comments rather on my YouTube videos. I really appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions in the future. I had Emily contact me with an email saying, I really want to understand the planetary maturations that I hear people talking about online. What do they mean by planet maturing? What is that all about? So I thought that's a great question. Let's explore that. Thank you, Emily, for your question. So essentially, it's really working on the premise that it comes from the ancient Vedic or Jaimini Hindu texts, but the planets mature at different rates, and so at certain ages in life we learn to master the energy of any given planet, and then that will essentially set us up to be able to utilize that energy of that planet in a hopefully positive way, depending on how we handle that maturation process, how we work with that energy, whether we manifest it well and deal with it maturely, or we actually flush our life down the toilet because we don't handle that maturation well. So I'm going to go through each of the ages that the planets mature and what it actually means, and how it correlates with our life when the planet matures. So we learn to handle Jupiterian energy. This is the first maturation that we go through. We learn how to master the Jupiterian energy around age 16, and this correlates to our sexual maturity. I mean, you think about it, most of us have gone through puberty by the time we hit 16. We've, had the voice fluctuations if we're a boy. We've learned how to handle the monthly cycle if we're a woman. Generally, some people it's a bit later. Some people it's way earlier, but generally by about 16, we've roughly reached our sexual maturity physically. Now, I'm not saying that 16-year-olds get to go out and just have sex willy-nilly. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that physically our body is ready for sex. We are now a fully formed adult body, even if spiritually, mentally, emotionally, we're not quite there yet. But physically, we get to that point first. Our maturation physically happens first, and that is considered to be the maturation of Jupiter. So we need to encourage, as parents, we need to encourage our children who are around this age to be very wise with this period, and handle their sexuality very well. It can affect, and we've all seen this, and we've all, those of us who've grown up and look back at life now, we've seen people who perhaps in their high school years didn't handle their sexuality well, and it affected the rest of their life. And this obviously can play out through family circumstances, or the upbringing that they had, or simply the karmic wiring that they had as well. But generally, we need to encourage our children to handle sexuality maturely at this time, certainly not to have sex before age 16, because we are not ready for it. Usually not at a physical level, really, but more importantly, we're not ready for it at an emotional and maturity level. The trauma that can be inflicted on somebody by having sex too early, it can be really difficult to unravel as life goes on. So our perspectives on sex can be skewed by having sex too young, and the unfolding of the rest of our life can be affected by getting involved sexually with people at too young an age. So yeah, we need to encourage, this is just the perspective from the ancient teachings. Do with this what you will, but this is the ancient teachings from Jaimini astrology, or Brihaparashara. We need to avoid beginning our sexual life until after the Jupiter maturation. And if we want to put it off a bit longer than that, that's probably not a bad idea as well, when we reach a bit more emotional maturity too. So our sexual maturity happens. Our sexual organs start functioning for us around that era of our life process. The next planet to mature is at age 21, when the sun matures, and the sun represents the full physical maturity. Okay, sexually our body has matured to the point where we can procreate, we can have children, but the full final stage, I guess, of physical maturity happens around age 21. And you know, we look around us and we see, you know, 21-year-olds, yeah, they've definitely finished the puberty piece. They are now, their voices are deep if they're a man, or you know, the women have developed everything that they need to look like a woman and not a young girl. So we see that the physical maturation process is complete, and therefore at its maturity, we call it at age 21, and that is the sun's maturity. It correlates to sun's maturation, sorry, it correlates to our physical maturity. So the first things we can see to mature are the sexual maturity and then the physical body maturity. The next thing to mature is the moon. The moon, naturally enough, is our emotional maturity, and this happens at age 24. So this is when we start to actually handle our emotions better. We're not like a child, you know, at you know, age 5, and we're given an ice cream down the street and we're licking the ice cream and the top falls off the ice cream and it falls on the ground and we're just like, wah, mom, you know the scenario where we can't handle our emotions properly. Finally, you know, by the age 24, we can be given an ice cream, the top falls off and lands on the ground, and we're not going to stand there wailing for mum. We are emotionally mature. We can handle the disappointments of life a little bit better because our emotions have matured. We're actually balanced, theoretically should be, around this time, a little bit more balanced, a little bit more harmonious with regulating our emotions and who we are. And so this happens around age 24 when we come into our own. The next planet to mature is Venus. Venus matures for everyone at age 25. And this, naturally enough, Venus correlates to relationships. So this is when we become relationally mature, Venus maturation. So it really is best, if you're looking at entering into a committed partnership with someone, it is really a wise idea to wait until after the Venus maturation, because we don't know what we need and what we want in a partner until after we have matured relationally. I'll vouch for this. I was married at 24, you know, I really didn't know myself well enough and what I wanted and what I needed in a partner. I thought I did. I thought, yep, I'm grown up now and I'm responsible. I'm earning money for myself, and you know, I've traveled overseas by myself. I've done lots of stuff. I'm fully ready for a committed partnership. But the truth was I wasn't. And we see this especially in young men, that they get married before Venus matures at age 25. And, you know, in the past, people have been stuck for life because divorce wasn't really a thing. Stuck for life with a partner that they married in their immaturity and then regret later and end up living miserable lives with one another. It's much wiser if you're a young man particularly, but also young women too, to wait until after you're 25 before you get married, so that you can fully know what you want and what you need in a partner, so it doesn't shift and then be kind of too late. I'm in too deep and, you know, now I'm stuck. These days we're not quite as stuck as they used to be, but just the same, who wants to go through divorce or, you know, the end of a committed partnership if we can afford, you know, avoid it? So wait until you're relationally mature, when Venus maturation occurs at age 25, before you go, you know, committing your whole life to somebody else if you can. Doesn't mean you can't live together or, you know, have a sexual relationship with someone, but before you sign the dotted line, that's very hard to unravel, think twice and perhaps, you know, give yourself a chance to grow up, give yourself a chance to really discover who you are and what you want in relationships. The next planet that matures is Mars, and Mars matures at age 28. Now Mars, it relates to our courage, it relates to our strategy for life, our capability. So this is what Mars is correlated with. And at age 28, we suddenly find that we are more capable of achieving what we want. You know, we've got a lot more life experience, a lot more actual practical wisdom about what works, what doesn't work, and we can start to act more courageously. You know, we'll take a risk, we'll take a chance because we know what the odds are. We know what the probable results might be. We can, I mean, Mars is very much the risk taker, but you want to be an intelligent risk taker. So Mars is our strategy for life. By the age 28, we've started to piece together, okay, if I do this, that, or the other, if I study this, if I take this career course, whatever, then I know that I'm going to, in 10 years' time, I can theoretically reach this point. Mars is our strategy. It's very strategic. It's a warrior planet connected to war, so war is often strategic. And Mars wants us to sort of employ that attitude of the strategic approach to having a victorious life. And so at age 28, we learn how to do that. We master having courage, taking risks appropriately, and we master having a strategy for life success. Now, at age 32 is the next maturation, and this is the maturation of Mercury. Interesting, isn't it, that we have to wait till into our early 30s to master Mercury, which is our skills, our talents, and our abilities. So the things we can do dexterously, if that's the word, we have to wait till age 32 before we see Mercury come into its maturation, and for our skills and ability to be at their peak. So just say you studied hairdressing at age 18. Well, really, the mastery of that skill, you're not going to really fully embrace or fully manifest until age 32 when Mercury matures. Similarly, if you did your electrical apprenticeship in your teens, well, it's not going to fully be realized until age 32. So any of our practical skills. I'm a sewer. Everybody knows I'm a sewer, and I make most of my own clothes. And I, up until around this time, age 32, I would sew and spend my weekends sewing, but a good portion of that weekend was spent throwing clothes that didn't work across to the other side of the room in frustration and anger, and stomping out of the room, and going for a walk or something because I couldn't get the zip to go in properly or whatever. But around age 32, the mastery happened, and now I can, almost do it blindfolded. Through practice and repetition in life, I have actually mastered my sewing skills and abilities, my sewing techniques. And so you'll notice that in your life too, with whatever skills and abilities and areas of life you want to focus your Mercury talents and abilities on. And it doesn't have to be skills of the hands. It can also be related to, maybe you want to be a comedian and you've spent years honing your craft, practicing your writing skills, practicing your delivery technique and how you sound. So it can actually be connected to you things like comedy, things like novel writing, things like writing a blog, any type of skills. It doesn't have to be skills of the hands. Then after that, at age 36, the one you probably hear most about when you're online listening to YouTube videos is the Saturn maturation. And we talk about this a lot as astrologers because this is considered to be the age when Saturn releases his grip of restriction and blockage on whatever area of the chart he sits in for you. So, but the energy behind this Saturn maturation at age 36 is it's actually connected to our philosophical maturity. The ability to carry burdens is really what Saturn is all about. To how we are going to carry our burdens and our sufferings. So, at age 36. We can sometimes have a big sort of rise into a big heavy duty and responsibility that we never imagined our life would carry. I became a single mum at age 36. We have a maturation into what Saturn represents in the chart, and it usually is correlated with how we are going to manage to carry the burdens of life. So yeah, we see this playing out in many, many ways because obviously Saturn falls in many, many areas of the charts with many, many different people. But there's this philosophical maturity. Am I going to handle my burdens, and everybody has them, their burdens and the difficulties of life with calmness, with rational thinking, with hard work and a sense of responsibility, or am I going to run away from my duties and my responsibilities and lead a frivolous life where I don't contribute? Keep in mind, Saturn is one of the heavy-duty planets of karma, so how you handle your philosophical maturation will ultimately affect you a long way down the track. But this is essentially when we become an adult. This is the maturation of Saturn, is when we are fully an adult. I was very naive and I thought once I was 21, that's when I become an adult. Well, 21 is when Uranus has his quarter way journey around the chart. And so it's like the first stage, but really you're just leaving childhood behind at age 21 and embarking on adulthood for the next 21 years. And after that, you're into middle age and you're embarking on a cycle of middle age for 21 years, and then you're embarking on a cycle of old age for the next 21 years, and all up that totals 84. But really, to become an adult is not at 21. Becoming a fully fledged adult human being happens with our philosophical maturation at age 36 with Saturn, when we learn how to carry our own burdens and to carry our responsibilities. Some do it wisely, some don't. The next maturation that you'll hear talked about is the maturation of the North Node. This is one of my favorites. I love the North Node maturation. I'm just going to read my notes here. It'll probably be easier. The North Node it represents, well, it's the maturation of what you're rising up into in this lifetime. We need to look at what house the North Node is in to indicate what we're rising up into, and then we correlate that with the energy of the sign as well. But the North Node maturation is very dependent on the dignity of the North Node. That's not something I'm going to go into in this video. It's connected to how well we've handled the Saturn maturation. So the quality of our North Node maturation, the results we see, playing out based on how well did we handle our Saturn maturation. And the North Node is North Node maturation at age 42 is preparing us to receive the South Node maturation, which occurs at age 48. Now, this South Node maturation is the maturation of what comes naturally to us this lifetime. South Node is the energy we've got the thumbs up for, that we know how to handle. We've done it all before. We're good at this. And so similarly, the maturation period relates to what comes naturally to us, what we do without thinking about it. We're just naturally good at. What you're working towards your whole life up until this point, 48. So if you have handled your overall maturation phases well, you're going to receive this. You're going to receive what you've been working for your whole life, the reward that you have been longing for deep down throughout all these maturation periods. And it's going to be connected to the location of the South Node and the sign that the South Node's in, as well as the quality, the strength of the South Node. It's the perfection of overall maturation, age 48. Then there are other cycles we go into as well. We look at the Chiron return and second Saturn return, and there are other cycles, but essentially age 48, all the traditional planets have matured, the nodes have matured, we have arrived essentially. So thanks for your question, Emily. When you hear people talking about the maturation of the planets, I hope this helps you understand what it is, and that it all makes sense for you now, and that you can utilize this information as you listen. I might do another video at some point about the North and South nodes and the qualities, the dignities of the North and South nodes and how that works. I'll do that sometime down the track. But I do hope this question was interesting for you, and I look forward to answering more in the weeks to come.